A shocking admission today. The families of the 3 people killed by a drunk and high driver near the OCC campus back in February watched as he, Anthony Saccone, suddenly admitted to it in Onondaga County Court this morning.
Saccone will spend at least 10 to 30 years in prison, pleading guilty to aggravated vehicular homicide, driving under the influence, and leaving the scene of a serious crash. We have team coverage for you tonight. News Channel 9's Jennifer Sanders spoke with families of the 3 young friends lost in the crash. But first, News Channel 9's Andrew Donovan, who covered the case from the start, explains why Saccone's murder charges aren't part of this deal.
As usual, Anthony Saccone's family had nothing to say, just having heard him admit to killing 3 people.
Any apologies for the victim's family, sir? Okay, stay here. Sir, any message for your son?
As they walked quietly, the district attorney was watching and had a lot more to say.
You know, when you see the trailer park trash leaving behind me here, it's just frustrating, and it's compounded when you see this guy, you know, out getting drunk at some picnic, and then, you know, doing speedies at the Nationals. I mean, where do you buy, like, hubris like that? I don't know.
The plea deal falls short of the murder conviction the district attorney was aiming for, citing depraved indifference, suggesting Saccone drove recklessly, well aware his actions could kill somebody. Fitzpatrick says in New York State, the charge has had mixed results.
I've explained all of this to the families since day one, and there is something to be said for finality and certainty. There's no appellate court that's going to reverse this. This is over. We won't see this guy again.
Anthony Saccone will be back in Judge Doran's courtroom in October to be sentenced, but he'll be back in court before then, next month, to face those reckless driving charges he was arrested for over the weekend.
If he pled guilty to that tomorrow, he would not get any more time, but I felt that because he caused the families additional pain, that there should be enhanced punishment.
If Fitzpatrick can prove Saccone was driving this past weekend, this morning's sentence will be enhanced to 10 2/3 years to 32 years in prison at the Onondaga County Courthouse. Andrew Donovan, News Channel 9.
Well, Saccone's family's been in court for every hearing. So too have the families of 18-year-old Michael Walker, 19-year-old Bailey Rose, and 20-year-old Samara Osmanovic, who watched this morning as their children's killer admitted his guilt.
But to them, no length of time in prison is enough for Saccone. News Channel 9's Jennifer Sanders, also in court this morning, explains why the families do not feel justice was served.
And she was a good kid, and she was really trying to better herself and get herself out there and just starting her life. So it's unfortunate.
He was 18. He just graduated high school, just got into OCC.
The depths of grief they feel cannot be measured. The families of Michael Walker, Bailey Rose, and Samara Osmanovic say each day sometimes harder than the one before.
Guilty or not guilty? Guilty.
In the courtroom, they waited to hear Anthony Saccone plead guilty to aggravated vehicular homicide in the drunk driving crash that killed Bailey, Michael, and Samara.
The families have some sense of closure now. You know, this was a decision made by the families, and I think it was for closure, because otherwise we could be looking at next year still having to relive this horrible tragedy.
But they say they will never truly get the justice their families deserve. Bailey Rose's stepmom still trying to find a way to cope with the loss of her daughter.
You still expect her to walk in? So I don't know where healing begins, honestly. I don't know.
He still doesn't show any remorse or seems to be sorry for the lives he took. And even if he did, it's still deeper to us than that, because we still have to go home and live without our loved ones.
But now a small glimmer of hope as this 6-month saga will finally come to a close as they continue to remember the lives of 3 young people taken far too soon. In Syracuse, Jennifer Sanders, News Channel 9.
DA Bill Fitzpatrick says the family's burden going forward, starting in 2028, is to speak before a state parole board to make sure Saccone does not get out after 10 years and stays in prison for the maximum time.